Can an ending be so bad that it can ruin the rest of the film? Yes, it can, and such is the case for today's film, Passengers. No, not that Passengers. No, I'm talking about another film which was released in the year 2008 with the exact same title of Passengers. I've seen plenty of videos on YouTube which talk about the worst movie endings in history, but this one somehow gets overlooked, and it's about time that I bring it out of obscurity and into the spotlight and see why it didn't work. This is 2008's Passengers. We start off on an airplane with people being happy with their everyday life, but unfortunately it doesn't last long. We then cut to Anne Hathaway, who plays the youngest and hottest psychiatrist the country could afford. I personally haven't met one this young. Maybe the United States is a well-developed country.
They came down on the beach near Pinewood. Just a handful are left out of 109. You should handle the whole group.
Really?
It's time to shake you out of this comfort zone that you're in.
I'm not in a comfort zone.
2 master's degrees already? A PhD that never ends? That sounds pretty cozy to me.
I'm talking to you about your life as if you hadn't lived it at all. Something that the audience would find it very stupid. Hathaway is put in charge of helping the survivors of the airplane crash, and one of them, played by Patrick Wilson, shows no signs of trauma.
How are you feeling?
I feel great.
If you'd feel more comfortable, outside of a group environment, we could meet one-on-one.
You make house calls?
Sometimes under special circumstances.
What does one have to do to become a special circumstance around here? Survive a plane crash?
A lot of people have just died.
So, Friday at 5?
Tea time.
We also see Anne getting a visit from her neighbor, played by Deanna West.
Hi.
Can I help you?
Your laundry.
Oh, right.
I've noticed that sometimes you're too busy to pick up your newspapers, so I could take them in and hold them for you.
Oh, no, that's fine. That's something I promised myself not to let happen again.
Good night.
Good night.
Clear?
That's right. Bye.
A little bit of character development doesn't hurt anybody. The next day, 4 of the 5 survivors assist Anne Hathaway's therapy.
The plane was just cruising along, and there was a sound. And the lights went out, and there was a flash.
That's not what happened.
There were no explosions till after we hit the ground. No warning, nothing.
Don't tell me what I remember.
Janice, do you remember any of this?
Since the survivors don't have the same recollections, Hathaway decides to talk about it to someone involved in aviation. The guy who checks the passenger tickets at the airport. Of course!
This passenger remembers a fire on board, maybe, before impact.
But isn't it common for people who have gone through this to be disoriented, to even delusional?
Yes. It's also possible to be in a heightened state of awareness where every detail and sensation is remembered.
I'm also confused as to why I'm talking to someone who is not relevant to this case. The next day, one of the survivors does not assist the meeting.
Has anyone had any contact with Dean since our last session?
Not surprised he isn't back. I don't think these little get-togethers are any use.
Maybe he didn't consider you a good psychiatrist. After the meeting, Hathaway is approached by one of the survivors who seems anxious.
In your car, please.
No, what's the matter?
Let's go, come on. Just bear with me.
Okay.
I will make the dumb decision of getting in a car with someone who is not in a good mental state.
There he is.
Who is he?
I think he's with the airlines. They've been monitoring us.
What? Why would they do that?
They're saying the pilot missed the approach or some bullshit. They had another accident last year off the coast of California. Mechanical failure. Another problem like that would sink them.
No, we can't assume that.
Oh, you don't know these people. A corporation like this, it's all about money.
There's nothing more exciting than a conspiracy theory.
You feel vulnerable right now, and paranoid feelings are common amongst people that have been through what you've just been through, but I don't think that the airline is after you. Okay?
Hathaway leaves Norman at his house after not believing in his theory and goes to a private session with Patrick Wilson the next day. Newspapers! My biggest fear!
Hello. Started to paint.
Yeah.
What is it?
I'm painting the Atlantic Ocean.
I don't know.
Eric. Please tell me what you're feeling right now.
Okay, what? Come on. How have you been? How are things?
I'm anxious. I can't control myself. Oh, hi Mark, how's your day? Patrick is strangely annoyed by a dog and unintentionally gets in the way of a car. Sir, could you stop touching my car and move out of the way? He touched the car! How daring!
Eric, can I see you again?
Yeah. In fact, you know what? Here.
No, I'll call first next time. That's really what I should have done today.
Hey,
Sorry.
Come on, hey. Slow down. I'm not gonna bite you.
When do we get to kiss?
We're not dating. We are having conversations that may help you release some of the feelings that you're repressing. I will listen to you and you will stop coming on to me.
All right.
Bye,
What's
Eric.
in your mouth?
As if these conversations weren't awkward enough, take a look at the scene where Hathaway talks again with her neighbor.
A lover's key.
No. No, he's an acquaintance.
An acquaintance who gives away his key.
Actually, he's a patient.
Do you like him?
No.
No. Look me in the eye and say that.
Any more cliche lines from romantic films? I have all day to listen to them.
Have a good night. How do you know where I live?
It's in here. You left it at my place. You gotta invite me in?
No. You're just a creepy guy standing at my door in the middle of the night.
I know it's creepy, but hey, an American in Paris did the same thing. We cut back to the therapy session where Norman is also missing, and they get a visit from the airport guy.
What are you doing here, Mr. Arkin?
I'm interested in the health of the passengers.
You're interested in what they remember.
Yes.
It's part of my job. Whatever my job is.
So you just be sure you haven't been feeding them your own theories.
Have you been able to confirm that the accident was human error?
It's always human error, Doctor. And in this case, it was an overworked pilot.
You're blaming your woes on a dead man.
That's enough conspiracy theories. Time to cut back to the romantic subplot.
Hey!
Eric! Eric, okay, just get away from the edge, okay? What are you doing?
It's okay, I'm Superman.
Eric? Eric! Oh my god! Oh my god, Eric!
What?
You bastard!
That's why they call me Captain Asshole. Things really get ridiculous when Hathaway accepts to accompany Patrick on his motorbike, as well as going on a boat trip. Something psychiatrists wouldn't do with their patients in real life.
How long have you had her?
Oh, it's not mine.
Whose is it?
I have no idea.
What? What?
What's your head?
Eric? Can you drive a boat?
No, Anne, that is not the proper answer. If you are on a boat that's being stolen, the right answer should be... Are you crazy? Stop it right now! You're going to get us into trouble!
What are you doing?
Going for a swim.
Eric! Seriously, it's not funny. Eric! Coming! I'm coming!
Hathaway jumps in to help him, but obviously it was just a prank.
Come on! Come back. Stay a while. See? Cold?
Whatever you do, do not kiss each other. You two have no proper chemistry. No, no, no. I'm sorry, no. I don't buy it, I don't accept it. Do I even need to explain why this romance isn't believable? If this was part of the inspiration for 50 Shades of Grey and all about Steve, I wouldn't be surprised.
The first time we met, you asked me if I had a sister.
Do you have one?
Yeah. She's an activist, a risk taker. She called me a coward and said that I was wasting my life. I said some pretty horrible things to her.
I told her she would never win an Academy Award.
We haven't spoken in months.
The next day, Hathaway tries to visit her estranged sister, but she's not home. But she does encounter the airport guy. Oh yeah, I forgot about the plane crash. We were so focused on the important stuff.
Is spending the night with your patients a regular part of the therapy? Your credibility is on shaky ground.
You are absolutely right. Moments later, Hathaway encounters the man who was following Norman.
I can't remember my own name, everything. I can't make anything out since the accident.
You witnessed the accident?
I was in it. One moment I'm sitting there, and there's an explosion. The next thing I'm here, walking around. What the hell happened?
With this key witness, she takes him to the most trustworthy person she knows, the airport guy.
This man was on board, Mr. Arkin. He remembers an explosion.
I know you.
No.
Yes.
No.
We've met before.
No, we haven't.
Where do I know you from? Who the hell are you?
You back Stop it!
Back off!
Shouldn't there be any airport security? There are people fighting.
You're not gonna get away with this! This man remembers an explosion! People are just...
Oops, maybe taking him to the people behind the conspiracy theory was not a good idea. Meanwhile, Patrick visits the crash site, which is not being guarded by anyone, allowing him to walk freely in a restricted area. And how come nobody has moved any of the wreckage since the accident? Is this by any chance Idiot Town? Maybe Patrick Wilson's character wasn't crazy after all. Maybe he was in complete denial. Spock? We cut to Claire Duval as the last survivor of the therapy group who, upon seeing more mysterious people, runs away with the help of Patrick and Hathaway, who for once makes the wise decision of hiding her.
That's my dog. He's buried in my mom's backyard. He died when I was 6. I didn't survive the crash.
Eric?
Patrick can't take the pressure anymore and decides to get out of this film. I immediately regret this. He didn't die, but how?
Stay away from me, Claire.
Come on, let's go.
Get away from me! Just go.
Whatever. Claire Duval also disappears, so Hathaway tries to talk about it with her supervisor.
I think the airline's targeting the passengers.
You're looking for the truth? When we lie, we make up our lies with pieces of the truth. Maybe it's gone as far as it can.
They got to you, Arkin got to you.
No.
Don't you come near me. Don't!
I'm so evil.
They're dead.
Hathaway encounters with the airport guy again, who hands her the list of passengers and she finds her name on it, meaning that she was on that flight and had met Patrick Wilson before. Wait, what? I'm confused.
Why didn't you tell me?
It's not the sort of thing you can be told. You gotta figure it out for yourself. My grandfather came back for me. I didn't even recognize him. And my dog.
No!
Who came back for you?
My Aunt Tony and Mr. Perry.
Oh, come on!
What about the other passengers?
They're like us. Making their peace with it before moving on.
And everyone else?
They're just here to help us find our way.
Where do I even start? It turns out that everyone on the plane died, including Hathaway, and the airport guy was actually one of the pilots. Now, this may seem like a good plot twist, but the more you think about it, you realize that it doesn't make any sense. How come the passengers remember being on the plane but Hathaway doesn't? The guy with amnesia was shown to have been hit with an object on his head. At least it explains his memory loss. But what about her? What's her explanation? And also, why did she wake up in a house instead of the crash site or the hospital like everyone else? And what's more, what happened to the rest of the passengers? We never see them in the hospital or anywhere else. Does this afterlife transport people to other places? And if that was the case, it's never explained. And talking about memory loss, how come Patrick didn't recognize Hathaway from the plane crash? How come Hathaway didn't recognize her dead aunt? Nobody forgets a relative they've known and loved for so long. And why did she talk to her former teacher as if he was her supervisor? Did we miss anything between the plane crash and her arrival to the hospital? How does this afterlife work? What was the writer thinking? What was the director thinking? What were the actors thinking when they said yes to this film? Who on earth thought that this would work?
Nobody will ever notice that. Filmmaking is not about the tiny details, it's about the big picture.
Meanwhile, in the world of the living, Hathaway's estranged sister visits her apartment and finds a note. That's nice. And that was Passengers, and wouldn't you know it, it sucks. The idea of a plot twist where everyone turned out to be dead might have been interesting, but because of its development and execution, it makes no sense. And even if we ignore the ending, the rest of the film shifts between a thriller and a supposedly rom-com, with clunky dialogue and awkward conversations. I felt closer to dead people in The Sixth Sense than anything in this film. My advice is that you take exercise, eat healthy food, and live a long and happy life. But that wouldn't stop you from dying in a plane crash. Life is stupid. I am a standard critic, and thanks for watching.